Savage Dragon. So we're talking about Savage Dragon again. I thought this might happen because I did get these in a grab bag situation of a bunch of different comics, and it was at least a portion of a run. So issue 82 through 85, featuring Madman from Mike Allred, which I don't actually have any of those Madman comics, but I do have Mike Allred comics somewhere around here. I can't find it. I'm not going to grab it out. There's no point. So I gave this a shot. This is from the year 2000. Before, we looked at the original Savage Dragon mini-series. And people, let's jump into that real quick. People were not happy. Some people were not happy with my not liking this or thinking it was just okay. It didn't really compel me to read anything further. I didn't have any nostalgia for these 90s era comics, and it just didn't do anything for me. And then one person said, like, "Oh, you must not have gotten it, this high art Savage Dragon, because clearly this spider person is a reference to Spider-Man. Clearly a reference to Spider-Man and how Erik Larsen worked on Spider-Man, and as if that was somehow made it a good comic. It made it worth my time because it referenced Spider-Man. The reference isn't clear. Just because he's a big spider mutant doesn't automatically make me think of Spider-Man. You'd kind of have to make him be like Spider-Man some other way other than just putting that in there. I guess if you're in that time period and Erik Larsen goes from Spider-Man at Marvel over to Image and does this, it might make a little bit clearer of a connection. But I'm not thinking in that time frame. And there's nothing clear about it that it's supposed to be Spider-Man. I don't deny that it probably is, but I don't think that makes it good just because it references what he used to work on or was some sort of... It's not an intelligent criticism, just a person that eats people, I guess, and consumes them. It's supposed to be a commentary on what Marvel does or Spider-Man does, I guess. Still doesn't change my criticism, but basically the dragon never faces any real threats in this. He just destroys people with one punch. Like, introduce this really neat looking character here, and then on the next page, defeated, punches him so hard that he punches him into the wall, and he's just hanging from the wall. I don't know. I think my criticism still stands. I don't think it's terrible, but certainly not one that's compelling me to read anymore. I wouldn't have read these had I not had the opportunity from that grab bag. And also, because it had Madman in it, and I'm kind of interested in, I like Mike Allred's art. The issue is, though, that he doesn't draw these. Erik Larsen is still drawing them. With that being said, though, there's a lot more clarity in these ones. Look at this 2-page spread where there's a lot going on. You can see that. There's a ton going on the page. There's characters and a lot of information, everything. But it's a lot clearer than, say, this one where it's just like black everywhere. And this isn't even the worst one. I've got to maybe flip through this real quick and find some of the worst offenders. But there's a lot of time in here where just things are unclear. And I'm not sure what's going on. Or at least it's muddled. The composition, everything's muddled. I think he improved his art from, 92, 93 to 2000. Good for him. A lot of this was reminiscent of Jack Kirby. A lot of Kirby references in these people, sort of like the Forever people sort of look. And I think clearly Erik Larsen is influenced by Kirby in general, but especially in these, I got that vibe in a lot of places as the story progressed. I mean, look at this character here, clearly Jack Kirby face, inspired by that. panel layouts and everything are really classic and clear. The story goes and flows well. It's sort of in media res. We joined this. This isn't exactly the start of this arc, and somehow the dragon has caused some sort of apocalypse on the Earth, and he goes to somehow he's in Australia. I don't know how he got there because I'm jumping at issue 82, but it's understandable enough. You kind of get the gist of what's going on, and I think the coloring in this is a lot better. This is sort of the beginning of computer coloring, and it doesn't quite work as well as in 2000. Then they sort of had it down a little bit more. Didn't use it sparingly in this, and that works a lot better. A lot of these poses are very Kirby-esque. Even the style, very very classic Marvel looking stuff, which was nice. That I enjoyed the clarity of the storytelling. And then you even had, let me see, yeah, this one I thought, man, that's a old Marvel splash page if I've ever seen one. I can almost picture this as the Red Skull here. Like I've seen this pose, the Red Skull, somewhere before. You know, very Marvel-esque. So these 4 issues, they're very classic comic book, and they're okay. They're okay. I wasn't wowed. Again, I wasn't wowed. Maybe if I experience the whole story, or if I go back, well, then I'll get the whole context, and I'll see, oh, just the deep things that are hidden from my noob point of view. But if I was to pick these up based on my interest in Madman, and had paid a ton of money for these, other than what I think I paid, like, ended up being less than $1 for these. I don't know how much less. I forget how many comics came in it, but it was a pack for like $5 or something, and it had 20 comics on it or so. I don't know, something around there. You do the math. I'm not doing it in my head right now. But if I had picked this up based on interest in Madman, I would have been kind of disappointed, because yes, it is technically a team up between the two, but Madman just kind of sits around and then gets kind of punched by Savage Dragon, and Savage Dragon's always driving the plot forward. It's not really a team up more than it's he's around and involved. Guest starring the Atomics and Madman. The Dragon versus Madman. I mean, technically they fight in typical superhero fashion, where they're being influenced by mind control. I think the thing that I was most, I don't know, impressed but liked about it was just the art was considerably better for me, clearer. I think he definitely improved. But it also, seeing Madman drawn by somebody other than Mike Allred was a little disappointing, because I love his art style. So what are my final thoughts on this? Because I don't want to go too long in this. Basically, it's just, again, not compelling me to go out and seek out Savage Dragon. This was pretty much standard comic book fare as far as I saw it in these 4 issues. Now, maybe I just got a bad sample size. Maybe the true, like I said, the true great Savage Dragon stuff is somewhere else, and I'm just missing it. But considering where I know the series has gone and some of the more notorious things, I don't have much interest in going to that point to read those. And at least in the year 2000 to 2001, so right at the beginning of that turn of the century, it was still just pretty much standard comic book fare as far as I see it. A little bit more aggressive, a little bit more, uncensored, but not anything really to get excited about. Just pointing back towards, even the covers pointing back towards old Marvel days. Is that what he wanted to do? Just be an old Marvel comic, I guess, with a little bit more edge? I don't know. I just go back and read old Marvel stuff, I guess. That's just me. So I guess if we're answering the question, is Savage Dragon any good in the year 2000, 2001? It's okay. It's all right. I don't think I'm going to go read any more or seek it out, or probably not even read these again, other than maybe to look at some of the art. I'll give you this page. That's a pretty good page, man. And compare that to some of the splash pages in the earlier comic, and it's a lot clearer what's going on. A lot clearer. So, good for that. But as far as the story goes, not that compelling. And then by the end, you're just sort of back to the main plot. There's an aside here. We'll have an adventure in Australia with the Madmen and the Atomics, and then we'll go back to the regular storyline. And this just didn't feel resolved. It just felt like, here we've got a chunk of the story. And this is the problem with comics, is 4 issues. There should be a complete story here. Or at least getting close. This is the end of the Atomics storyline in this. Their storyline is wrapped up, but I don't have any resolution, I feel, other than that he goes from Australia back to the United States. Is that enough? I don't know. You be the judge, not me.